Guten Abend, welcome back to Berlin. Now, based on a recent experience that Carl had at the top of the TV tower.
Today, 3 hours ago.
3 hours ago at the top of the TV tower, Carl suffered what you could probably call an anxiety issue, an anxiety attack.
More fear-based anxiety.
Fear-based anxiety, where you sweat, you feel panicky, you kind of want to get
sweaty
down,
palms.
You kind of want to get somewhere safe, yeah, sweaty palms. Like so we came up with the idea to share with you a few ways in which you can solve, if you find yourself in an anxiety-ridden situation, that you can calm yourself down. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
So in relation to what we were talking about before when we went up to the TV tower 3 hours ago, something that helped me to calm down and relax in that situation filled with fear and kind of anxiety-based fear-based anxiety, however you want to look at it.
Sweaty pits.
Was focusing on something. So we went to the restaurant, had a great meal, 2-course meal, and focusing on the food and the flavors of the food and the wine, and kind of just focusing on everything surrounding that, the flavors, the look, the feel, the texture, all of the small details that goes into a meal. Focusing on that kind of just helped me kind of get through that moment where it was like, oh crap, there's a window right there, and if I fall out that window, I'm gonna die.
Considering the glass is like
that's in a really funny way, but legit, I was actually pretty scared though, like legit, like,
yeah.
And that's something that in that moment, that while we're talking about everything in Berlin, that's on my mind, in that moment, that's what I did to deal with that, to calm down, to release the anxiety a little bit.
So the one thing that I wanted to point out is that there's a good tactic. I don't know where it came from, I don't know who invented it or anything, but if you can say you're in that, you're feeling it, your palms are sweaty,
knees weak, arms are heavy.
Yeah, knees weak. Right, don't even start that. But if you feel that, you can count 3 things in the environment that you can see, 3 things that you can feel within like an arm's reach, 3 things you can smell, or whatever. There might not be that many things you can smell, but just like getting like that sort of bearing of your surroundings. So right now I can be like, I'm touching the ground, I can touch Carl, I can smell car emissions, I can smell flowers, and it helps ground you, which is what the problem with anxiety is. You feel like, oh, like panicky.
I feel like that's because
that you need.
That's because relating to the senses is closely related to meditation. Because when they talk about meditation, it's about like kind of being in that moment, in the surroundings, focusing on a smell, a sound, a feeling, all of those senses that you have as a human being, and focusing on those is what brings that kind of meditative state a lot of the time. So I guess that's why it calms people down naturally and it releases that anxiety, because it's so closely related to meditation.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from what the fear of what's going to happen next. So, and if you're in the present moment, so we call this like number 2, which is like meditation and focusing on the moment, it's better to be able to ground yourself. So if you can ground yourself and be present, then the anxiety goes away, because the anxiety comes from a fear of the future rather than like panicking in the present moment. So if you're just sitting there and you're starting to feel it, you're worried about the future. I think there's a good saying, like if you feel guilty, you're living in the past. If you feel anxious, you're living in the future. But if you feel present, then obviously, if you feel good, you live in the present.
100%.
That's probably a good one, meditation and living in the present moment. The next thing we want to point out is working on your breathing. Now, this sounds weird, but it kind of goes hand in hand with the meditation thing. So there is a good rhythm for breathing that I like to do, whereas I breathe in through my nose for like 3 seconds, hold it for 2, and then breathe out for 3 to 4. Right? And close my eyes at the same time. It's got like rhythmic breathing. And what it does is it helps calm your heart rate down, and helps like, because when you breathe, if you breathe heavy, you start to panic. Naturally start to panic. But if you calm that breath down, you naturally, like, all your endorphins stuff just drain away, and you start to feel a little bit more relaxed and comfortable with where you are. So if I was like this, going like even that alone makes you feel so much better.
Makes such a difference straight away.
Just do that over and over again.
Solo, it's like kind of like again, it's like a lot of mental things, isn't it? Really, like a lot of anxiety and fear and stuff like that comes from here, which sends a signal to here, which sends a signal to out here, kind of thing. Which is why you start to sweat, whatever it may be. You start to freak out, whatever it may be. It's all just signals sent from the brain to your heart to other parts of your body, isn't it? So it's learning to kind of deal with that and control that. And again, like in this talking about in this video, the ways you can do that is focusing on things, or focusing on your breathing, or
it's like think of things that will ground you. So like we said, like distract yourself. So if you're in a restaurant, you feel anxious that people are watching you, whatever, watching you eat. Just as one example. you know, focus on your food, try and taste the food a bit more, try and like distract from what's going on around you for just like a few minutes.
Definitely.
And then obviously work on the groundedness, so you can count the things around you, so like 3 smells, 2 things you can touch, 4 things you can see that are in close proximity, and just try and ground yourself fully to where you are. And then obviously the last one we said is try the breathing technique, the rhythmic breathing, where it's say in for 3 seconds, hold it for 2, out for 4, and just repeat that until, you know, your heart rate slows down and you feel a little bit calmer with the situation that you're in, and your anxiety should just nicely flow away a little bit. Because we feel a lot of social anxiety, especially standing here with people walking past. You set up the camera and it's like, oh, it hits, and you like, we get sweaty and stuff like that.
It's just,
so it's
it's just ways. I think the point of this video is ways to control it and deal with it in that moment, whenever you're in that moment, in relation to that moment that I was in today in the TV tower, and I felt that moment of, oh crap, we're like 207 meters high. And there's a window that's tilting like that
and turns at the same time.
Thank you, ambulance.
Go save somebody's life. Somebody's suffering from anxiety, go save them.
And it's spinning, so you feel drunk.
Yeah, plus the free wine didn't exactly help. We were like, ooh, pressure's high up. But anyway, that's a few of our tips on how to deal with your anxiety. And if you feel like you getting your sweaty palms, your sweaty pits coming on, remember these 3 things, and good luck.
See you in the next video.
Peace from Berlin.